Hi there, my name is Henry Tenby. I'm the creator of Jetflix TV, and the video that you're about to see is provided with my compliments to you this holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, compliments of the season to you and your family. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's all about the Nimrod. That is a ground live running aircraft at the Bruntingthorpe Cold War Jets Museum in the UK. And I hope you find it really interesting. It's over an hour long to watch, but it's a sample. It's typical of what you can find on Jetflix TV. So with that in mind, enjoy, and thank you for watching this video.
Stu Butler with the RAF Nimrod. Stu, can you tell us about
briefly about the history of this aircraft and how it got to be here at Bruntingthorpe.
Sure. Well, the aircraft is a Nimrod MR2, and it was originally based at Royal Air Force Kinloss in Moray in Scotland. The RAF took the Nimrod MR2 out of service about 3 to 4 years ago, and this was one of the aircraft that was saved from the fleet and came here to Bruntingthorpe to be an entry into the Cold War jet system, and ultimately, as you know, to taxi later in the day.
What actually is involved in keeping this aircraft in the condition that it's in, and who's involved in doing that?
Well, it's a big aircraft, as you know, so there's quite a lot of work you need to do to keep the aircraft running. And again, it requires a whole lot of volunteers primarily to service the aircraft, keep it clean, do all of the sort of domestics that you would do on a normal aircraft if it were in service. But clearly with volunteers, they work in a lot harder to actually keep it in the condition it's in today.
Yeah, I mean, we've got obviously these aircraft rely on the goodwill of the volunteers giving up their time to take care of them, and because they live outside all the time, they need more care than if they were sitting in a hangar in between runs. So there's hundreds of man-hours of labour going to preserving the aircraft in between these taxi days. So it's not just a matter of kicking the tyres and dragging them out and firing the engines up. There's lots and lots of work, electronics and all sorts of avionics, everything that needs to be taken care of.
What happens today at Bruntingthorpe with this aircraft? What's involved in getting it, preparing it for today, and then what happens today?
Well, there's a number of engineers, as I say, spend the 6-month gap between runs actually getting the aircraft prepared. Yesterday we were all in, we did an engine run on the aircraft, took it down the runway just to make sure all of the systems were working. Today the aim is to taxi out onto the main runway, do a figure of 8 so that the photographers can all see the aircraft from different angles if we're available, and then ultimately we'll set up on the centre line and we'll do a fast run taking it up to just prior to takeoff speed, and then we'll stop. The plan is with the Nimrod today is to bring it back into dispersal and then let the photographers come through it on guided tours.
me is Bob Tuxford. We're on board a former RAF Nimrod. Bob, can you tell me about your association with this aircraft and the other aircraft here at Bruntingthorpe?
Yes, well, briefly I got involved at Bruntingthorpe a couple of years or so ago. A lot of my experience in the Royal Air Force was on air-to-air refuelling tankers, and so primarily my initial focus was with the Victor K2, the model of which is sitting right next to us. So I'll be operating that aeroplane later today. As far as the Nimrod is concerned, I was asked by Dave Walton, the airport manager, to take on the job of getting the crew together and operating this airplane in the same way, the fast runs on these open days. So I've been now with the new team on this aircraft for a couple of months or so, and this will be our first show as far as this present crew is concerned. Bring it back down and then do a left to right hand turn back into position.
Now, are you currently or formerly from the RAF?
I certainly am. No, I've got a great association with this airplane. The vast majority of my operational flying life was spent in the Nimrod. Initially in the Nimrod in the Nimrod R1, MR1, and then ultimately when the aircraft were all converted to the MR2 standard, I flew in the MR2. I'm an ex Nimrod squadron pilot and a squadron captain. I was then a Nimrod squadron commander, and ultimately I commanded the base at RAF Kinloss in Scotland as a station commander.
Oh, fabulous! Now I noticed this aircraft has a lot of interesting badges on the bay doors. Can you tell us briefly about those?
Yeah, well, the badges represent the enormous heritage that this airplane has had. From all of the squadrons are depicted on there, and including all of the bases, primarily RAF Lucca in Malta and RAF St Morgan down in Cornwall and Royal Air Force Kinloss in Moray. And again, there are versions of this aircraft, the Nimrod R1, that have flown out of Waddington in a slightly different configuration. But the badges represent, as I say, the many years of heritage that this aircraft had as the RAF's long-range maritime patrol aircraft.
Actually be in contact with the crew in the cockpit, and it'll be he that will be sort of giving the final all clear and unplugging his wire.
operational aircraft Nimrod in existence, or are there others?
No, there are others. There, to my knowledge, there are certainly 4. One of which at Elvington, which again is an old RAF base that I've flown out of, also taxis, as does this one. There's certainly a couple around some of the major museums, and there's one being kept under a system called Moravia, actually at Royal Air Force Kinloss, where they're hoping to use it as a centrepiece for a maritime museum, because clearly Kinloss and St Morgan have both got again amazing heritage with this type of long-range maritime patrol aircraft.
your operational life on this aircraft?
After my considerable time flying air-to-air refueling tankers, which included an exchange tour on tankers with the United States Air Force on the KC-135, I returned to the UK, did some instructing on jet provosts, and back into the tanker force for 3 years over the Falklands period. And then following that, I was fortunate to go to ETPS and did the Empire Test Pilot School course. And following graduation, I then had 3 years of test flying, principally heavy aeroplanes. And in that connection, I got to fly the Nimrod quite a number of occasions, and especially, sadly, the Nimrod AW Mark, which of course subsequently was cancelled. But all in all, over the 3 years, I flew the Nimrods often on a regular basis.
he can actually be in contact with the crew in the cockpit. And it'll be he that will be sort of giving the final all clear and unplugging his wire.
like to add that I haven't asked about this aircraft, or that?
No, I don't think so. The only thing I would say is this was the Royal Air Force's last long-range maritime patrol aircraft. There are maritime crews in the Air Force now operating on the P-8 Poseidon with the US Air Force, US Navy. And hopefully the Royal Air Force will get this maritime patrol heritage back at some stage. But you know, when these aircraft were taken out of service, you know, there was little choice for the Air Force. But they are doing their best to get back into this game.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're still looking for two light aircraft to move from the taxiway to the
Enthusiasts would be interested to know, could this aircraft fly again?
Currently, right now, no, because as it happens, we're only running on 3 engines today. One of the engines has got a slight mechanical fault, can be fixed. It's actually quite difficult to get this type of aircraft onto the civil register, and also you need a design authority, a company that will stand behind that register, and that again is quite difficult. So to be honest, I don't envisage a Nimrod ever being airborne again. I wouldn't completely rule it out, because clearly they did that with the Vulcan.
Right.
But I mean, it's iconic in a very different way. The Maritime Patrol aircraft effectively has been at war for the 40 or 50 years of its service, but the Vulcan's got that that prestige about it. So I really can't see us ever getting one airborne again.
operational aircraft, Nimrod, in existence, or are there others?
No, there are others. There, to my knowledge, there are certainly 4, one of which at Elvington, which again is an old RAF base that I've flown out of, also taxis, as does this one. There's certainly a couple around some of the major museums, and there's one being kept under a system called Moravia, actually at Royal Air Force Kinloss, where they're hoping to use it as a centrepiece for a maritime museum, because clearly Kinloss and St Morgan have both got again amazing heritage with this type of long-range maritime.
Simpson. Q-Whiskey India Golf Yankee. Do you know what sort it is?
Stu, thank you very much. I mean, it's fabulous to be here and to see this incredible aircraft, and I know that everybody that attends these days, you know, really loves it as well. And I appreciate your help and the help of everybody involved with the aircraft as well.
No, not at all. It's a great thrill for me to be back on the jet. I last flew this particular aeroplane. I looked in my logbook. I last flew this about 7 years ago.
May I ask where?
I think it was a Kinloss, an operational sortie out of Kinloss, and landed at Royal Air Force Lucas. So again, you know, I come back on here. It's like, and I can tell you all, this is the best office in the world.
Fabulous. Well, Stu, thank you again. Just terrific. Great. What's the story on the Guppy? Any chance of that being resurrected?
No, she's the electrics are being resurrected, but it's got no power plants on it, so it's only ever going to be a static. And quite honestly, for the sort of days that we run, jets are safer than turning props. So no, we've kept clear of turning props. They wanted to taxi the Beech 18 today,
but for safety, it was.
Yeah, it's the crowds are too close, and the potential for injury or something nasty happening is greater, I think, even than with the jets.
Nearly 8 years have passed and a lot has changed. Unfortunately, the Bruntingthorpe Cold War jets no longer exists in the form that we enjoyed showing in these videos. The Dave Walton family has leased the airfield to a new tenant, and it's just not possible to continue with the operation of the Cold War Jet Days open houses that so many people enjoyed for some 20 years. Most of the aircraft are actually owned by Dave Walton, who is a lifelong aviation enthusiast, and the aircraft have been preserved on a section of the airfield that will secure their safety for the foreseeable future. This includes most of the small jets and the large jets. Dave Walton has stated that he has no intentions of scrapping the large aircraft. I believe he owns all of the large aircraft with exception to the VC-10, and things are certainly very fluid with all of the aircraft in the long-term picture at this particular juncture. Well, I hope everybody's had a very nice Christmas and holiday season, and I hope you enjoyed this show on the Nimrod. If you think you might like to watch more Jetflix TV videos, there are 2 links underneath the video where you can sign up for either a 1 or a 3-year plan. And if you go for the 3-year plan, I'm going to send you my new book on the VARIG Lockheed Electra operation. It's a photo book with my compliments. So check it out. It's 2 plans down below, 1-year plan and a 3-year plan. And if you sign up for the 3-year plan, I'm going to be sending you this book by airmail wherever you happen to live. Thank you very much. I'm wishing everybody all the best for the holidays and the new year.